Let me tell you something, ladies, and I want you to hear this like I'm talking to my own daughters. You are the prize. I don't care what the world has told you, what your past looks like, or how many times someone tried to dim your light. You are the prize. Now, here's the catch. It's not enough just to say it. You gotta know it, and more importantly, you gotta walk in it every single day. You don't become the woman a man can't replace by being easy, by being available, or by trying to mold yourself into what he wants. No, you become unforgettable by being rooted in who you are. Because let me tell you, when a woman knows her worth, everything about her changes. The way she walks, the way she talks, the way she carries herself. A woman who knows her value doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't settle. Oh, she moves like royalty. And the real ones feel it the second she enters the room. A woman who knows her worth doesn't tolerate disrespect. She doesn't entertain nonsense. She knows what she brings to the table. And if a man can't recognize that, she's not afraid to eat alone. Because she's built herself up. She's taken the time to grow, to heal, to elevate. She's not desperate for validation because she's already validated by her character, her heart, and her hustle. Listen, men can find a pretty face anywhere. They can find someone to cook, someone to clean, someone to smile and play the role. But when you show up in full confidence of your value, when you move with purpose and carry yourself with class, grace, and a little bit of fire, that's not something he can just scroll for and find again. That kind of woman leaves a mark. That kind of woman makes a man say, I can't mess this up. That's the woman he measures every other one by after her. See, knowing your worth is not just about saying it's about living it out, choosing relationships that align with your value, making decisions that reflect your standards, and letting your actions show your self-respect. You don't let a man dictate your worth. You let your life do the talking. You invest in yourself. You protect your peace. You handle your business. You look in the mirror and you say, I am her, every day. You know why some women get replaced? Because they were too busy trying to become what he wanted, instead of becoming the best version of themselves. Don't do that. Don't shrink don't dim your light so someone else can shine. Because if you do it once, you'll have to keep doing it. And eventually you'll forget who you were in the first place. Be the woman who's so in tune with herself, so connected to her purpose, that no man ever forgets her presence. Be the woman who can love with depth, lead with strength, and still maintain her dignity. That's the woman he can't replace. Not because she tried to be perfect, but because she was authentic, strong, loving, and most of all, undeniably herself. And when you know your worth, you won't just attract a man. You'll attract the right one, and he'll know he could never replace you. Let's be real. Too many women out here are trying to compete with other women for a man's attention. But let me ask you this. When did the relationship become a race? When did being in love turn into a competition? See, that's where we get it all wrong. A woman who can't be replaced is not the one who competes. She's the one who completes. There's a difference, and it's a big one. A man doesn't need another rival in his life. He doesn't need someone to prove they're better than the next woman. What he truly needs, and what will make you unforgettable, is someone who knows how to complete his world. I'm not saying you should complete him, because he should already be whole. But when you step into his life, things should get better. Not more stressful, not more dramatic. Better, that's what completion looks like. When a man is out there grinding, chasing his goals, dealing with pressure from every angle, and trying to build something solid, the last thing he wants is to come home to a partner who's trying to outdo everybody else. He doesn't need a woman who's worried about what the ex is doing, who the side chicks are, or who's getting more likes on Instagram. That kind of energy wears a man down. But when you show up grounded, focused, and confident in what you bring, not in competition, but in connection, now you're giving him something he can't find anywhere else. And here's the truth. No matter how fine you are, how good you look, or how much attention you get, if your energy is always about comparison and competition, eventually you'll get tired. Because peace is priceless, stability is attractive. And when you stop trying to win the race and instead build the kingdom with him, he's gonna look at you and think, she's not like the rest. That's what completion does. Competing is loud. Completing is quiet. Competing screams, look at me. Completing whispers, I'm here for you. Competing wants the spotlight. Completing wants the connection. A woman who completes a man doesn't need to be the loudest in the room, because her presence alone brings calm, strength, and support. She doesn't have to throw shade at other women. She doesn't have to prove anything. She just is, and that's enough. Now, I'm not saying you need to play small. I'm not saying you should shrink yourself just to make a man feel good. No, no, no. You should shine. You should grow. You should glow up in every way. But the key is, when you're with the right man, your light doesn't blind him. It helps him see, and your strength doesn't scare him. It helps him stand taller. That's the power of a woman who completes. Don't waste your time sizing yourself up to other women. Don't look left and right trying to see what someone else is doing. Focus forward. Focus on what you bring that no one else can. The way you love, the way you listen, the way you encourage. That's your signature. That's your superpower. No need to compete when you already carry something rare. The woman he can't replace is the one who walked into his life and helped him breathe easier, dream bigger, and feel like he could conquer the world with her by his side. And the moment you stop competing and start completing, you don't just become the one he wants. You become the one he never knew he needed, and the one he'll never want to lose. Setting standards isn't about being difficult or demanding. It's about knowing what you deserve and refusing to settle for less. Let me tell you something, ladies. Men may test boundaries, but they always respect the woman who enforces hers. A woman who can't be replaced is one who knows exactly what she stands for and makes it clear that certain lines just can't be crossed. She doesn't have to yell, beg, or threaten. She just lives by a code. And if you want access to her heart, you've got to respect that code. The truth is, when you don't have standards, you leave the door wide open for all kinds of mess to walk into your life. You'll start accepting behavior that makes you feel small. You'll start compromising on things that matter. And little by little, you'll lose yourself trying to keep someone who should have never had a seat at your table to begin with. But when you have standards, you filter out the chaos. You don't chase attention, you attract respect. Because the right man, he's not scared of your standards. He values them. Now, having standards doesn't mean you're rigid or impossible to please. It means you've taken the time to understand your worth. It means you've made peace with the idea that not everyone will rise to meet your level. And that's okay, because you're not looking for just anybody. You're looking for someone who can walk beside you, not drag you down. Your standards are not walls to keep love out. They're gates to protect your peace. A lot of women get caught up thinking that if they don't bend the rules or lower the bar, they'll end up alone. But let me tell you, being alone and peaceful is a whole lot better than being with someone who constantly crosses lines and drains your energy. Loneliness doesn't come from being single. It comes from being with someone who makes you feel invisible. That's why your standards are non-negotiable, because they're not about keeping people out. They're about letting the right one in. When you set a standard, you're teaching people how to treat you. You're showing them that your time is valuable, your heart is sacred, and your energy is precious. You're not going to be anyone's second option. You're not going to tolerate inconsistency. You're not going to accept love that comes with conditions. That's not pride, it's protection. That's not ego, it's elevation. The man who sees you setting standards and still steps up, that's the one worth your time. That's the man who sees you as a partner, not a placeholder. He's not threatened by your boundaries, he's inspired by them. He knows that if you hold yourself to a higher level, you're going to hold him to the same. And that's exactly how two people grow together. But it all starts with you. You can't set standards for others if you don't first set them for yourself. Don't just ask for loyalty, be loyal to your values. Don't just expect respect, speak to yourself with it. don't just want someone to commit to you. Commit to your own growth, your peace, and your future. At the end of the day, you don't set standards to scare men away. You set them so the wrong ones remove themselves, and the right one knows exactly how to love you. And when your standards are clear, consistent, and rooted in self-respect, you don't just get chosen, you get cherished. There's something powerful about a woman who can walk into a room, sit at any table, and be comfortable with who she is. Flaws, strengths, past mistakes, future dreams, all of it. See, confidence is not about being the loudest, the flashiest, or the most perfect. Confidence is about being settled within yourself. It's about walking in truth and refusing to shrink, even when you feel insecure or unsure. And let's be honest, life is gonna test that confidence. People will try you. Circumstances will shake you. But when you've built it from the inside out, that kind of confidence can't be broken. A confident woman doesn't wait for validation. She doesn't need a man to tell her she's beautiful to feel like she is. She doesn't need a job title, a certain dress size, or 1,000 likes on social media to feel worthy. She knows her value because she's done the inner work. She's had the nights where she cried herself to sleep, the mornings where she had to pep talk herself into pushing forward, and the days where she stood tall even with trembling knees. That's real confidence. It's forged in the fire. And here's the thing. A man can spot a confident woman from a mile away, not because she's showing off, but because she's glowing differently. She's not desperate for attention because she already gives herself the love and approval she needs. She's not intimidated by other women because she's not in competition. She's in her own lane. She doesn't chase because she attracts. She doesn't settle because she knows her worth. That's the kind of woman who stays on a man's mind long after she's left the room. Confidence doesn't mean arrogance. It doesn't mean walking around like you're better than everyone else. No, real confidence is quiet. It's humble. It's grounded. It's the ability to say, I know I'm not perfect, but I'm still worthy of love, respect, and greatness. And that energy, it's magnetic. Because when you love yourself from the inside out, you set the tone for how others will love you too. But confidence also comes from keeping promises to yourself. When you say you're going to do something, whether it's taking care of your health, walking away from a toxic relationship, starting a new chapter, you do it. Not because anyone's watching, but because you're watching. And every time you show up for yourself, your confidence gets stronger. You begin to trust yourself more. You stop waiting for someone to save you or choose you, and you start choosing yourself. Now listen, being confident doesn't mean you never feel doubt. It doesn't mean you won't have bad days or moments of weakness. But even in those low moments, a confident woman reminds herself, this too shall pass. I've made it through worse. I'm still standing. And every time she gets up, she gets stronger. That kind of confidence makes a woman irreplaceable because men can find beauty anywhere. They can find talent, charm, even kindness. But a woman who is deeply rooted in who she is, that's rare, that's unforgettable. That's the kind of woman who makes a man say, I can't afford to lose her. And when you carry that confidence, not arrogance, not ego, but real, heart-centered confidence, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just show up, fully you, and let the world adjust. One of the most unforgettable qualities a woman can have is emotional intelligence. It's not just about how smart you are or how well you handle your own emotions. It's about how deeply you understand people, how you respond instead of react, how you offer grace without losing your boundaries. A woman who knows how to navigate emotions, both hers and others, brings a sense of calm, clarity, and maturity that a man simply can't forget. Because let me tell you, beauty may catch his eye, but peace will win his soul. Emotional intelligence is what allows a woman to communicate without chaos. It's the strength to say, I'm hurt, without making it a war. It's the awareness to recognize he's having a bad day and not take every cold word personally. It's the ability to listen, not just to the words a man says, but to the silence behind them. When a woman can tap into a deeper level of understanding, she doesn't just respond to the surface, she speaks to the soul. And in today's world where so many people talk just to be heard, being someone who truly listens makes you priceless. It doesn't mean you don't get angry. It doesn't mean you don't get emotional. You're human. You're going to feel things. But the difference is in how you manage those feelings. A woman with emotional intelligence knows how to feel without letting those feelings run her life. She doesn't throw things when she's mad. She doesn't shut down or ghost when things get hard. She speaks up. She seeks understanding. She aims for resolution, not revenge. That right there, that's grown woman energy. And it's not just about handling conflict, it's about being emotionally available too. Being able to express love without fear. Being able to be vulnerable without feeling weak. That level of emotional maturity is healing, because most men don't get that often. They get performance, they get pressure, they get pride. But when a woman shows up with patience, grace, and emotional openness, it disarms him. It makes him feel safe. And every man, no matter how tough he looks on the outside, is looking for safety on the inside. Let's not forget, emotional intelligence also means you know how to set healthy boundaries. You don't allow manipulation. You don't fall for sweet talk without action. You can tell the difference between love and control. You understand when it's time to walk away, even if it hurts, because you know staying in emotional chaos will cost you more in the long run. That level of clarity doesn't come easy. It comes from self-awareness, from doing the work, from healing your own wounds so you don't bleed on someone who didn't cut you. A woman with emotional intelligence is rare, not because it's impossible to develop, but because most people avoid the hard work it takes to get there. But when you do, it shows. Your conversations are deeper. Your arguments are shorter. Your presence feels like peace, not pressure. That's why men remember women like this, not because they were the loudest, the wildest, or the most demanding, but because they were the calm in the chaos. When you know how to love with wisdom, lead with patience, and live with awareness, you give a man something far beyond the physical. You give him a partner who makes him better, who brings peace into his life, and who shows him what real love feels like. And that kind of woman, she's not just remembered, she's never replaced. Being irreplaceable doesn't mean being perfect. It means being real. Authenticity is what sets you apart in a world full of imitation, filters, and performances. When a woman shows up as her true self, unapologetically, confidently, and consistently, she becomes unforgettable. Because here's the truth. A man may be impressed by the act for a little while, but he'll always be drawn back to the one who was genuine from day one. Authenticity is about owning your story, the good, the bad, the ugly. It's about saying, yeah, I've been through some things. I've made mistakes. I've had heartbreaks. I've fallen and I've risen. It's not about pretending you have it all together. It's about showing up with honesty, with vulnerability, with strength born out of your journey. And let me tell you something. Realness is magnetic. It pulls the right people in and pushes the wrong ones out. That's the power of authenticity. You don't have to try to be what you think a man wants. Don't hide your light just to fit into someone else's version of enough. Because the man who's meant for you won't just accept the real you. He'll love the real you. Men might not say it out loud, but they crave realness. They crave the woman who doesn't play games, who says what she means and means what she says. The woman who doesn't switch personalities based on who she's around. The one who doesn't chase trends, but sets her own rhythm. That's what leaves an impact. Not just beauty, not just charm, but authenticity. Because while charm is temporary, character lasts forever. Being real doesn't mean being raw all the time. It doesn't mean dumping all your emotions on the table without wisdom. It means having the courage to show up in every space as you, without hiding, shrinking, or pretending. And that kind of consistency builds trust. A man knows what he's getting with you. No surprises, no masks. That's a rare kind of security. And security is sexy, it's comforting. It's what makes a man feel like, this woman is solid. I can build with her. The real you has power. When you speak from a place of truth, your words land differently. When you love from a place of honesty, your connection grows stronger. When you live without pretending, your freedom becomes contagious. And that freedom, that ability to stand tall in your own skin, is what makes you irreplaceable. Because no one else can do you the way you do. That's your edge, that's your magic. Even your flaws, when owned with confidence, become part of your beauty. That little laugh you think is awkward, that might be what he falls in love with. That scar you try to hide, it might be the sign of strength that makes him admire you more. The things you think make you less than, they might be the very things that make you unforgettable. Because when you're real, everything about you becomes a part of your story. And stories are what people remember. At the end of the day, the woman a man can't replace isn't the one who tried to fit a mold. She's the one who broke it and stood boldly in her own light.